that gap has decreased. Why do you? So you mentioned that you think that intent plays a role in this. Do you have any other thoughts on why that gap might be decreasing?
Yeah, it's hard to say, but the hunch internally is that due to the current economic climate now versus then from last year, the prior year actually, it really is fundamentally different, right? We're looking at everyone needing to further justify their existence internally, wherever they are at and whatever role they have, not just marketers. And so when you look about doing research to justify expenses, you should theoretically be more disciplined in what you're doing today versus what you possibly were being allowed to do a year, if not years in prior. And so the assumption there is that simply people are paying closer attention to the decisions that they're making because there's quite honestly urgency and their career on the line if they're not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's an interesting finding, and I'm curious to kind of dive into that a little bit more over the next year and see, how buyer behaviors are changing too. And then you have obviously, the webinar registrants, and this is a perfect example, which is going to segue into our next topic around thinking about the content that you're creating and what content is associated best with different stages. Obviously that differs for different people, but on average, you can think about content having the right place at the right time for the right people. And so when you think about that webinar, you can think about it not just from a webinar, but for any asset or piece of content. But you turn that single piece of valuable content into this journey of experiences, is what we're calling it. And when it comes to these content consumption trends, like a webinar is a perfect place to think about. I mean, On24, obviously a leader in webinar technology and experiences as well. So we like talking about that too. But when we think about, this journey of experiences, what are the different kinds of strategies that you think about when it comes to repurposing a single asset into many without exhausting your team or boring your audience?
Yeah, the beauty of starting with a webinar, and again, this isn't to plug webinars and On24 directly, although I'm going to go do it, which is that the beauty of starting with video is that derivative text, audio, and/or video sub-segments are super easy, right? You can even use some transcription services to kind of make some of that easy, although you still need human eyes to kind of fine-tune and finesse. But going from text, whether it's a blog post or a white paper or an ebook, into video requires a greater commitment, restructuring, all of that. While starting with video and going backwards into all of those other more simplistic derivatives, really simple. I think the idea to hold on to here is that you're investing time, cash, personnel, possibly even outside of your own team, to create content. And so getting back to even the current economic environment, if you're able to kind of atomize this content, all different types of formats, whether they're longer form or shorter form, your ability to justify that initial investment just becomes that much more compelling. And I think that's really, really powerful. Instead of constantly looking at each new asset as possibly a new expense or a line item that you're going to have to justify, you can go in and say, yeah, we've got a significant effort and lift here to create this